Good morning. Today is a work day. It's a Friday, but today seemed worth vlogging because today is my last day, or my second last day at this job. Next Monday I start my new job as a support analyst for a software company. And yeah, I thought today we could talk about some advice I have for those of you who are maybe beginning to start your first jobs, or heading in, or maybe just thinking about what you need to know about your first corporate job and how you should handle it, because I have some thoughts. But first, on to my last day of work for now. All right, I've made my final approach to work, or final approach to this work. And while I was driving, I kind of had a moment of inspiration about the first piece of advice that I think I want to share. And this is really relevant for, I think, when you're first starting out professionally in work, whatever career field it is. And that can happen at any age. I think it's really important to keep work in context and keep work in perspective. Work is good. Work does a lot of good things. It provides financially, it can provide emotionally, it can bring you a lot of fulfillment, it can be a passion, but with good there also comes bad. So work can also be challenging at times. It can be stressful, it can feel domineering, it can feel like it's trying to take over your life depending on what's going on at work and what your workload is. And that's why I think the most important thing is to bring perspective. When you start work somewhere and you start working for other people, I think it's important to remember that for most of us, work is not life or death. Now, there are some industries where work is life or death, but in the majority of cases, it's just not the case. And so you want to not let work get to you like that. Don't let it stress you out. Don't let it make you feel like it's everything, because in most cases, it's not. Work is, in some ways, temporary, in some ways permanent. There will always be another place of work. There will always be the next job. That's just the way the world works. And the nature of work means that work is always going to be there. There's never going to be a shortage of work in the world. It hasn't happened in the history of man. There will always be more for you to do. So I think remembering that at times when work can seem like it's got all this negative and all this bad, and it's challenging you, it's stressing you out, remember that's not that big of a deal. It's just work, and there will always be more of it, and you need to make sure you're taking care of the things that are most precious and important to you. From a personal standpoint, for me, I've made a very clear priority decision. My priority will be my family, and work will come second to that, at least in this season of life. And that's my perspective, is I remember that if I have to make a choice between doing something that may advance my career and doing something that is more productive to me being a present and engaged husband and father, I'm gonna err on the side of the present and engaged father and worry about career advancement and progress later. And that's my perspective, and I think you have to set that perspective for yourself when you start working. All right, I gotta go in here, wrap things up, and then move on. But we'll keep talking about this work thing, because I've got some advice, and I think it's worth you hearing. making the final walk to my car from this job for the final time. It was a good last day. Did my exit interview, got my last paycheck, took care of all the paperwork. Now it's time to head home and officially start the next chapter. The next thing that's important to remember about work, or to know about work when you're starting, is that, and today my last interactions with coworkers and whatnot really reinforces that, is the number one thing when it comes to work is you need to prioritize relationships and building relationships, deepening relationships, maintaining relationships, because at the end of the day, that's what business is. Business is done by people and between people. And it's really easy sometimes when you're first starting out in whatever you're doing to get very fixated on the ins and outs of your job and being the best at all the little details and being the best practitioner at whatever it is you do. And that's good. That adds value to whoever you're working for, and it adds value to your own individual stock as an individual. But the relationships are what are ultimately is going to be the value you take away from any work. Those relationships are going to make doing your work at your current or future job easier, and those relationships are what are going to carry you to the next job. And we don't talk enough about that because we try to really focus, I think, on having the right education and the right skill set, and that is important, but relationships are the layer on top of that. The relationships with people in your own company and the relationships with people outside of your company. That's going to be, in my opinion, the unlock. That's what leads to the next big steps. Long story short, basically, your mom and dad were right. You always want to treat people well. Don't burn any bridges, because you just never know who's going to become who and when you're going to need that relationship in the future. I guess it's safe to say I know what area of the country I live in. Come on. You not napping today?
He did nap for a little bit.
Made it home. The boys are awake. Everyone's good. Everyone's up. But I am gonna sneak in a quick kind of late afternoon workout here. I don't typically work out at this time anymore, but we're gonna get some dinner to celebrate the new chapter that we're embarking on. So I want to work out before I have a nice dinner and can relax a little bit. The next thing I'll talk about work. I'm kind of a pragmatist when it comes to work. So a big part of what I've been doing for work in the last 4 or 5 years has been very practical. It's been all about a job that supports our family financially, provides the insurance we need, provides the salary we need, et cetera, so that we can raise our kids and keep Kelsey home. And I'm a believer that has to be first and foremost your consideration when you're talking about work. I do understand the conversation about pursuing something you're passionate about and having work that you can enjoy and not going to a job that you can't stand. But I also recognize that people have very real responsibilities, and in my opinion, those have to become first. And that's what I did. Was I went and worked somewhere that maybe it wasn't super aligned with my interest or my passions, but it was something I could do and was capable of doing and provided for our family. So that would be kind of my first, like, when you're looking for a job, when you're starting your job. I think that's the most important thing is one, can you do it? Can you do it well? And does it provide for the responsibilities that you have? If you don't have very many responsibilities, obviously, then you can err more on the side of passion and make a little less, right? So if you have to do something you don't like to provide for your responsibilities, well, that's unfortunate. Hopefully you can work yourself out of that situation. If you have a level of responsibilities that will let you do a job you really love but doesn't necessarily pay a lot but still takes care of your responsibilities, more power to you. And so that's kind of where the second layer for me then is, when it comes to work, is do I like the work? Do I enjoy the work? Can I be passionate about the work? Do I want to have a long-term career in the work? And that's kind of the second layer. And for me, that's what this next chapter is about. So being able to make this move to this next job was really, you know, we had to evaluate it through a very pragmatic lens. Does it provide what we need? And then once we were able to check those boxes, it was kind of a no-brainer, because the new job aligns a lot with my own personal interests and hobbies and where I would like to take maybe my career, my interest, or at least my kind of, I guess, more day job, corporate career moving forward. So yeah, first and foremost, in my opinion, you got to be pragmatic. And then once you're pragmatic and you've taken care of your responsibilities, then you can consider passion, interest, because you can always pursue passion and interest outside of your job, because most times your job isn't going to take every hour in the day. So you can always continue, even if you're doing the job that's pragmatic, like I've been doing for half a decade now. I was still able to pursue fitness and do coaching and edit videos and all this other stuff that I really enjoy while providing for our family. So they can always coexist, but then as you move to that next level or that next chapter, maybe then you try to merge the two. And that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm gonna work out now. I sweated way too much for the level of difficulty of that workout. It's deload week, which in training speak just means it's a training week where you basically cut. I just did the stupidest thing in the history of things I've ever done with my camera. Instead of using my tripod for its intended purpose, I had my camera set on top of this, which is essentially just two foam rollers stacked on top of each other, and the camera fell straight back about 4 feet off the ground, hit the ground, and for the most part it seems to still be functioning. What I was in the middle of trying to say when my camera fell was I sweated way too much for that workout, and I'm in the middle of why I say that is because I'm in the middle of a deload week, which in training speak just means that at certain points in your program you strategically back off the amount of volume and intensity you're doing in your training to just basically give yourself a break to recover. That way you can head into the next few weeks of training well rested and more sensitized to the next block of training. So yeah, anyways, thank God my camera's okay. Good workout, and now we're gonna figure out dinner. You guys ready to go get dinner?
Yeah.
Alright, let's go.
Okay, where's your hat? Wait! No!
It's like we've unleashed savages or something. It's...
Bike back.
Oh, for a second I thought it was broke because it wasn't zooming, but I was pushing the wrong ring. Did my face get really serious? My face got really serious.
No.
What?
I thought you were gonna say, oh, I thought my lens was broke, but it was just your face.
I'm not mean like that. Cal, buckle yourself in, bud.
I can't.
I know. I'm
waiting
just.
all day.
I'm just kidding. And just like that, we got dinner.
Hey, Mom.
Lickety split.
Lickety split. No.
I completely understand you. I mean, I really do. But this is sacred day, right? And I just hope that teams so and so